Hi, I'm waiting. I know this is a premiere, but I'm still waiting on some people. Give it a couple of minutes. Give it a couple of minutes. Even though, like I said, it's a premiere, people still tend to straggle in. So I'm going to start talking about my subject. And once I start talking about it, anybody that did not hear it, they can go back and they can catch it on replay. Um, but the subject is very serious, and it's happening a lot in our communities, and it's going it's going untalked about. It's being untalked. It's being kept secret, washed under the rug, and mostly it's because of fright. Mostly it's because of condemnation. But it's a serious conversation that needs to be had if you're a mother. It's a serious conversation that needs to be had if you're a grandmother. It's a serious conversation that needs to be had if you have any young girls or even young men that are of age, um, and you notice that their personalities all of a sudden change. You notice that their school grades suddenly start to drop. You notice that they're suddenly not this vibrant personality that they once were. They are a shell of their former selves. And I'm talking about SA on children, and how mothers and adults are failing these same children. Right now, Naziah Harris case has got the nation's attention. And it's good. It's good that she's going to get justice. It's good that awareness is being brought to this. But this is nothing new in the Black community. This is nothing new in Black households. It's just the fact that it's being brought to the light more, and it's being brought to the light, and people are not talking about it. They're saying that this young lady's grandmother, auntie, all these people knew that this young lady was having SA encounters with a grown behind man that was old enough to be her, I want to say granddaddy, but he was old enough to be her dad, at least. And that brought me to, Monday, in the height of all of this that's going on with this young lady. I'm at home and at work, and I'm on my breaks. I be looking at Facebook. On my breaks, I be looking at whatever pops across my screen, but it just happened to be Facebook this time. My cousin posted it, and it was in my neck of the woods. And I'm going to share that with you all, what I'm talking about. That was in my neck of the woods. And I wasn't shocked, I'm not going to lie, because we had heard little whispers, but it was swept under the rug because, let me get into it. Let me share this. Let me share this real quick to give the backdrop of what I'm talking about. Where is it? It is this one. So this right here, these two people right here were arrested Monday, where I'm from. The mother and the man are facing several charges, including human trafficking in connection with SA assault on a 17-year-old. This old man and her mother. So the story reads, a man and a mother are facing several charges, including human trafficking, after a 17-year-old slept with the man for money. Police say the officers responded to the 1500 block of East Broad Avenue in reference to an SA. When they arrived, Cleo Spence, 67, told the police that he wanted Kimberly Murray and her children to leave his residence. They were staying at his residence due to their state of impoverishment, according to the release by the police. Murray told the police that she found messages in her 17-year-old daughter's phone that suggested that Spence SA'd her. After speaking with the 17-year-old, investigators confirmed that Spence had met with her back in August, and he was paying to have sex with her. Police then determined that Murray had been instructing her. Murray, as the mother, had been instructing her to be SEXUAL with Spence for money. Spence is facing the following charges: prostitution, grooming, aggravated sodomy, solicitation of sodomy, sexual battery, human trafficking. The mother is facing the charges of pimping and human trafficking. They're both being held in our jail here. So, oops, sorry. So, I'm trying to unshare the screen, stop screen share. Okay. So, with that being said, more has been coming out about this case right here. This is just the first time the mom got caught and the little girl owned up to what was really going on. But the little girl, whose name I will not release, but I do know, was 11 years old when it first started happening to her at the instructions of her mother. This young lady has told the police that her mother has had 6 different boyfriends, and it all started when she was 11 years old. Her mother started getting her to have sex with her boyfriends for money. Her mother was on drugs. She started instructing her to have sex with her boyfriends for money. And she had told her grandmother after like the third one, she was like 13, she told her grandmother what was going on because her grandmother had noticed the difference in how she was acting. She had become very defiant and angry all the time. Her grandmother went to her daughter's house, got the little girl and brought her home with her, got her things. Mother was somewhere in the streets, got the daughter's things and brought her home to her. So the mother got home and she called her mom. Her mother told her that she was taking that child and that she was not coming back there. She knew what was going on. The daughter showed up to her mom's house with the police and said the daughter was lying. Police questioned the little girl, and she said none of that ever happened. But mind you, this was like 2-3 days later after the grandmother had gotten her. The grandmother took her to the doctor, and it was found out that her hymen had been broken. And when the grandmother was like, well, what about you not being a virgin? She told her grandmother, well, it was a guy from school, and they wanted to know who it was. She said he had moved away, that their family had moved, but it was some guy that went to school with her. So the police said as long as they could not prove anything, and she was saying that it was somebody else, that she had to go back with her mom, and they had to take it to family court. So grandmama just left it alone. And so 6 boyfriends later, and then this man, the truth comes out because the man called the police to have them put out of his house. And the reason that he had wanted her out was because the mother tried to jump on him when she found out that they were still having encounters. She did go through the little girl's phone. She did see messages, but the little girl was keeping the money. She wasn't giving it to mama. Now mama mad because they going behind her back doing it. And the little girl getting the money when the guy had been telling the mother the whole while that he had somebody else, he was not interested in the little girl anymore, and they could stay there till they got on their feet. But once mom found out it was still going on, that both of them was playing on her top, so to speak, she gets angry and called the police, not knowing that now was the time that the daughter was not going to lie anymore. So now she's in jail, no bond. The guy's in jail, no bond. And the young lady is in the care of her grandmother. And they're investigating the other ones and looking for the other guys that she's named that started doing this to her when she was 11 years old. So with that being said, I do know it was said my cousin he's at the police department, and they're not supposed to tell stuff that goes on, but stuff leaks out. Stuff does leak out, and I can say it because it's already leaked. But one of the guys is already deceased, that was messing with the child. So he's already deceased. They do know where two of them are, but it's three of them that are still MIA, and they're wanted for questioning. I'm just going to see how this plays out. And I'm just saying that to say, because Nazia's case is more nationally known, it's not a rare thing. And as women, like I say, mothers, sisters, cousins, aunts, grandmothers, we got to pay more attention to our children's moods, and we got to stop failing them. What would make a mother pawn her child off for money and sexual favors? What would make a woman do that? As a mother, we have been charged with one task, and that is to raise that child, protect that child, and care for that child. We're not supposed to allow things like that to happen to our children. And for what? A piece of crack, a pill, a meth pipe? Is it worth it? No, it can't be worth it. Get out there and sell your own nasty rank ass, because these children are innocent, and are innocent. Once you take their innocence, they can never get that back. It causes all type of psychological problems. And I'm sure if anybody's watching this video, I'm sure that you know somebody, or maybe you yourself have been SA'd. I can raise my hand. I can raise my hand because I was 8 years old. I was not penetrated. I was not made to get naked, but I was made to touch a grown ass man in an inappropriate way. And that's a form of SA. That messed with me mentally when I was growing up. And I'm one of the ones that was scared to tell it. I was afraid to tell my aunt that her boyfriend had me put my hands on his genital, and he was going up and down with his hand on top of mine with my hand wrapped around him, until I felt a warm gush run down my hand, and he gets something and wipe my hand. I was afraid to tell it, and we had moved. My mother and I and my brother had moved out of town. But over the summers, I would go down there back to the country where my cousins was. I would spend my summers in the country. And we had, it was, all of us were little, so it was me and my cousins, all of us slept in the same bed. I would always sleep on the end, because I always had a problem with my bladder, so I have to be on the end so I can jump up and run to the bathroom. So it was on the end one night, and I was asleep, and I felt him reach under the covers and grab my hand and put my hand on his manhood. And next thing I know, my hand going up and down, up and down, up and down. And years later, I found out I was not the only one in the family that he assaulted. I was not the only girl in the family that he did that to. And neither one of us said anything because all of us were afraid. So, like I say, I'm sure somebody that's listening to this has happened to them and they were afraid to tell it, or it's happened to them, they told it and were not believed. But it is common. 1 in 4 girls are SA'd, and 1 in 13 guys are SA'd before they're 15 years old. And it's sad. Some of them have the strength to tell, and some of them are very afraid to even talk about it. And they blame themselves. They're rewarded. Their groomer awards them, giving them money, giving them toys, giving them clothes, giving them new shoes. They're grooming them. And the sad thing about it is, these people honestly think they're normal. These people honestly think they got it going on. It can be, I was on the phone with Boo Love yesterday when I was preparing for this live, when I was preparing to actually go live with this live. And I was on the registry website for our area. We got 12 zip codes in where I live, 12 different zip codes. So I'm going down the zip codes, just looking, just going through it. And I had only gotten 3 zip codes deep, and I was at 200 and something registered sex offenders. And when I started going through the pages and looking and scrolling, being nosy, I saw about 5 people that I knew to this day that I know well. One of them is in the, like, I do a lot of singing around here. We got like a little music sector around here. And he's in our music sector. He's put out music. He's a DJ. And when I saw his picture, I sent it to my guy. And I was like, is this, I'm not going to call his name. I said, is this? And he called me. He said, yeah, that's him. What that? And when I told him, he said, no. I was like, yeah. So I sent him the whole thing. And he was like, God, a nasty. And I was like, baby, it's so many more. He said, where you getting that from? And why are you looking that up? I said, because I'm going to touch on that on my live this week. And I'm doing research. And I told him, he was like, oh, you said you were going to do that when we was watching that story from Monday. I said, yeah. And I said, but the thing is, he's not the only one. And I'm only on like 3 counties for the area. Now, I'm going to get off this because I'm getting mad. Because I'm tempted to go on my Facebook page and air these MFs out. And I said, I know they're going to attack me. But because one of them is the brother of a very good friend of mine. She never said it. I guess she wouldn't just go around bragging about her brother being on the SA assault list, have to register every year. Nobody would go around bragging about that. But that's just something that people should know. That's something that people should know. Anyway, as I'm going down the pages, I'm looking at the charges, and some of these charges were the guys that I actually know. They are trying to literally take it, force them, and the little girls fought back. They trying to take it. Attempted aggravated battery. I'm like, are you serious? Anyway, it's just sick. And you never know. They could be your next door neighbor, look normal. And then they got this wickedness about them. These people are sick in the head. And for somebody to protect these monsters, I was looking at my little niece. I was telling Tabby, I said, Tabby, or was that Abu Love? I was telling one of them, I said, I look at my niece walking around here. I think she just turned 9. She's 9 years old. And I look at her little frame. In 2 years, she's not going to be much bigger than that, 11 years old. And that little frame and a grown ass man taking advantage of a little girl with that kind of frame, what kind of sick, twisted mind would automatically go toward a 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, a little child's the JJ? What mind will automatically think to do that? I don't get it. I don't get it. We are living in evil times. A lot of the stuff that I see people doing and a lot of stuff that I see, I'm like, what is going on? People don't have a fear of God anymore. They don't have the fear of God in them. This story here. Now, this one right here, this one right here, it really irritated me. Because the more I started researching this, I've been researching this because I want to do a couple of lives on this until we do better about saving our children. It doesn't necessarily have to be a girl. It can be a guy as well, a little young boy as well. And it is the adult's duty to these children to recognize the signs. But on this one, a Georgia mother was sentenced to prison Monday for allowing 2 men to rape her young daughters for drugs and cash. CBS affiliate WG. Sorry about that. I didn't have my glasses on. But CBS affiliate WGCL reports 25-year-old Morgan Summerlin was sentenced to 30 years, 20 of which will be served in prison and the balance on probation. Summerlin admitted allowing Richard Office of Alfredo Trejo to assault and hurt the girls when they were 5 and 6. 5 and 6 years old. This is a mother now. A mother allowed 2 men to essay her 5 and 6-year-old child. Daughters. I'm sorry, 6 and 7-year-old daughter. Her 6 and 7-year-old kids. What kind of mother is that? She got just what she deserved. And I don't think that she got enough time in prison because her sentence, she'll get out, start her life over. But she scarred those babies for the rest of their lives. Her defense attorney argued that Summerlin herself had been essayed as a child. A judge called what happened to those girls inexcusable. And I agree with the judge because they like to say you're a product of your environment. That's BS. Because I've seen people get out. You have to want better. And because it was done to the mother, does that make it right for her to do it to her girls? But I hear them say things like generational curses, cycles of abuse from family to family, and it's just a repeated cycle. But somebody at some point has to break that generational curse. Because that happened to me, I was more and extra protective of my daughter. And it seemed like this woman, if this happened to her, she would have been more protective of her girls. But she allowed this to happen to those babies when they were 6 and 7. Can you imagine what those babies were going through? Excuse me. The daughters said Office kissed and touched them and raped one of them in his Palmetto home. They say afterwards, he gave the girls $100, which the mother immediately took from him or from them. A prosecutor said the girls were told to call him Pop and that he gave drugs to the mother. Summerlin pleaded guilty early last month to first-degree cruelty to children, trafficking a person for SA servitude, and enticing a child for indecent purposes. Trejo was convicted of convicted. He was convicted of convicted. Wait a minute, how you got this written? Trejo was convicted of RAPE, sexual SA battery, child molestation, and aggravated child molestation, and sentenced to serve 25 years in prison and life on parole. We're going to talk about these prison sentences because 25 years, 30 years, it's just not enough for doing that to a child. That's no rehabilitation. They say there is, and people serve their sentence and they serve their punishment. But most of the time, they go back and do the same thing because that's the sickness in their brains. There's something unnatural about that. It's something unnatural about that. I don't know. It's something about what they're putting in the foods nowadays. I know there's no excuse for a 6 or 7-year-old, but it's something that they're putting in the foods to make these children, these girls, I guess they growing chickens in a week. They putting steroids in chicken and make them grow in a week. And we putting that same steroid in our bodies. That's why we have so many obese people, because Black folks love chicken and they growing chicken with steroids. We're eating the steroid, therefore we're overweight. We're bigger than normal. Our children are curvier at an earlier age. And it's damn near to the point where these men, the ones that are fooled, have to ask the child for ID if they say they're 18. Well, prove to me you're 18. But the ones like this, the ones like these that are attracted to them before they get bumps on their breasts, before they get hairs on their privates, these are some sicker than you. These are some sick individuals. And then it says a jury found Office guilty of RAPE, trafficking a person for sexual servitude, sexual battery, and child molestation. A judge sentenced him to life in prison without the possibility of parole, plus 146 additional years. Now that's what I'm saying. You're going to die in prison. And I hope he dies in prison being the RAPE victim of a butch. A big burly butch at that. Okay, I have another one. This one is close to home as well. And this one, I actually knew some of the victims. And when I say it was shocking, it was really, really, really shocking. Because I had no idea it was going on right up under my nose. And this was at a church that I went to. And I'm looking for it. Give me just a moment. And this minister's name was Stanley Jones. Very good minister. Very, very good minister. And the things that he was doing in that church during the daytime to these young victims, doing in his home, to his daughter's friends, he had a whole list. He had, in the end, a list of so many girls that came forward to testify against him. But the way that he got caught was, well, let me give you the backstory on him. Let me give you all the backstory on him. He was married to this woman that had a set of twins when she met him. They got married. Once they got married, he had 2 more children with them. I used to be in this gospel group with one of his daughters. It was me, my daughter, the girl, and another young lady. We called ourselves Faithful Harmony. So my husband and I were separated, and I was hurting. I went with my mom to church one day. I loved the service. I ended up joining the church, and once I joined the church, I got active in a music ministry, and so I would go up there to rehearsal, but I wasn't the type to just hang around the church just because they were open all day. I go up there, go to rehearsal, I come home, go back to church on Sundays, sing my part after service, I go home. I've never been one that hang around the church, love to hang around the minister, so I guess that's why I missed it. Excuse me. But his name was Stanley Jones. You may be able to Google him now. But his daughter said she was playing in the backyard one day, and it had a big old oak tree, and somebody had put a carving in that tree. The carving in that tree was a man standing up, the lady on her knees, and she was giving him fellatio. She called her dad out there and asked him what was that on the tree. He looked at it. He told her to come inside and he'll show her what it was. And she was 6, she said, and he made her give him fellatio. She said that went on until the day she called the police. No, the day she called her mom, and her mom called the police. She said she was SA'd almost daily. If it wasn't touching or putting fingers in, he had his head down there. She said penetration never happened, but he was SA'ing her on a daily. Excuse me. I am just getting over that stomach virus, and I apologize if you all heard that. But then she said he started with her twin brother. Had her twin brother fellatio with him and topping him off. So she said this went on. And when she graduated high school, she said she couldn't wait to get out of that house. She graduated high school. She went and enrolled in the technical college here for cosmetology. She found her roommate. She saved her money from going to school and doing hair around the house. Found her roommate, and she was home packing to move out. He comes home and see her packing. Asked her what she doing. She was like, I just got an apartment. I'm getting ready to move. And he was like, who you moving with? She said, I'm moving with a friend of mine. Is it a man or a woman? She was like, I'm 18. I don't have to answer to you no more. And so he was like, okay, you finna get out there and be fast tail. I'm going to get me some before you go giving it to everybody else. What you think I've been preparing you for all these years? So she said at that moment, they started tussling. And he's trying to tear up her clothes. They tussling. So she get the phone and called her mom's job and dropped the phone. And her mom could hear her screaming. Her mom could hear her tussling with him. And her mom hung up the phone, called the police, and met the police at the house. So he ended up going to jail for attempted RAPE. And when the police questioned her, they found out it had been going on since it was 5 and 6. Her mom was like, well, why didn't you talk to us? And she said, he told us, if we tell you, he would kill you and I almost called the sister's name, and the 2 little sisters, and it would be our fault. So he done threatened the mom and their 2 little sisters in order to continue the acts. So fast forward, they found out he in jail. Here come all the floodgates open up. Members of the church coming forward. Members of the church coming forward. My husband's cousin was a member of that church. And I remember her coming out to our house. They sat at our table, she and her boyfriend, and they was telling us everything that was going on because they were ones that hung around the church. And they was telling us everything that was going on behind the scenes at that church. This girl named Teresa. Teresa was a strange one. And they would always say, she demonized. She's this, she's that. After they told me everything that was going on with Teresa and how this man used to do Teresa with the men in the church, he was pimping her out to the men in the church. No wonder that girl was so angry. No wonder that girl, she was defiant. They was always he called himself praying demons out of her. How you gonna pray the same demons out of her you putting in her? This guy named Anthony said one day he was in the church, cleaning and getting ready. They was getting ready to go to Detroit. He said that he had a very terrible headache. And he said, the minister, Pastor Jones, said, What's up, dude? And he said, man, my head been hurting for 3 days. And he said, go out there and tell Teresa to come here. He said, when I got Teresa, he told Teresa, get on your knees and take care of Brother Anthony. And she dropped to her knees trying to do it. And Anthony said, no, I don't want that, because he was engaged to another lady in the church. And he was like, no, I don't want that. Get up. So he said this man was using Teresa to take care or to fulfill the men in the church, sexual appetite. And she was coming to the church with her parents, and she ran away. She was doing everything, showing all kinds of signs that something wasn't right with that church. But they were making her come anyway. And then they were leaving her up there, talking about she was the minister's assistant. Can you imagine how she may have felt about her parents forcing her to go to church to be SA'd? But her name came up. This little girl, what's that baby name was? But say he was touching on her. Taffy, was it Taffy? Little girl, pretty little girl. We used to all be crazy about her. And I was like, I know he wasn't messing with that baby too. They was like, yeah, almost every woman in the church that hung around the church, he messed with. This girl named Toya and this guy named Jacob. Jacob was the the music minister. Toya was one of our best vocalists. And they used to call themselves like each other. I didn't go on the trip to Detroit because my husband was like, you're not going with that. It's something about that church I don't like. And I don't want you hanging up there. You go to choir rehearsal, you bring your tail home. There's something about that church I don't like. So they went to Detroit and found out that this same minister, Toya was 15, Jacob was 18. He knew that Toya and Jacob liked each other. And he had called himself counseling them to see if they had sex yet. They were like, no. And he was like, he married them, did a little fake marriage ceremony just so they can have sex. This is how crooked and wicked this man was. He married a teenager underage and an 18-year-old so they could have sex. Toya is dead to this day. I think she died of leukemia, but she started acting funny too. She started acting like a little weird. She went from being this vibrant teenager to like being withdrawn and wearing big clothes all the time. Because she used to wear like jeans, like little teenage girls do, wear jeans and a little shirt with the belt. She got to where she was wearing, I don't care how hot it was, she was wearing long coats covering up her body. Like everybody was like, something ain't right with Toya, like she losing her mind. No, Toya was depressed because this man was allowing somebody to take advantage of her. And probably was touching on her too. As a matter of fact, her sister was the minister's mistress. The minister was married to a beautiful lady, and he was cheating on her with this girl named Tanya. And Tanya actually got mad at Toya for coming forward testifying against Stanley, because she was like, he's going to get prison time. Take back your... No, Toya, I'm not taking that back. It happened to me, and what happened to me happened. But so many people started coming forward, and when it went to court, let me read this. The judge could not believe what he was hearing. He could not believe what he was hearing. And let me find which one it is. I'm coming. I'm trying to get better. I'm going to get better. I promise y'all I'm going to get better. So let me click on the one. This was back in 2006. And it reads, all this stuff popping up. January 13, 2006, molesting preacher convicted. The head minister of the Albany Worship Center was convicted today on nearly all counts of molestation of parishioners' children over the course of several years. 42-year-old Stanley Jones was sentenced to 30 years in prison without the possibility of parole. He was accused of using his power as a minister and a father figure to groom his victims and to being his SEXUAL partners. Victims said he would give them gifts in exchange for SEX acts. Jones was married at the time of the molestations, admitted to having SEX with some of his parishioners, but said it was only after they were of age, which was a lie. Before issuing the sentence, Dougherty County Superior Judge Lauren Gray addressed the self-proclaimed man of God. Quite frankly, in the 20 years on the bench, I have infrequently heard a case that made me want to take a shower every time I left the courtroom because of the filth. It's been like crawling out of a cesspool filled with uncontrollable lust by a self-proclaimed man of God. He had some more charges that came, and then the same judge, gave him 341 years in prison. When he got that second conviction, then he tried to appeal it. And let me read this. I'm only going to read some of it. In 2009, he tried to appeal it. It's too small. Let's see. So it says, following a jury trial, Stanley Jones appeals his conviction on 7 counts of sexual battery and the single count of aggravated SEXUAL battery and child molestation. He contends that the trial court erred, denying the motion of a new trial, which was based on a claim of ineffective assistance of counseling, and in giving a misworded jury charge of prior consistent statements. And y'all excuse my reading. I read better than that. My eyes are adjusting to new glasses. We hold that evidence supported in the trial court findings underline its conclusion that Jones failed to carry his burden of showing ineffective assistance of counseling and that the jury charge was harmless. So he went and tried to appeal it, and they denied it. It said, construed in favor of the verdict, Short versus State, the evidence showed that in the late January 2005, Jones intentionally but surreptitiously placed his hand on the genital area, buttocks, and breasts of three of his teenage daughter female friends. And one of them was that girl Toya I was telling you all about. I'm not sure who the other two were. I know one was Toya, one was Teresa, but all of them were 16 or 17 years of age while they were staying overnight with his daughter at his home, each time without the young girl's consent. Sometimes the touching was on the outside of the clothes, while other times it was under the clothing. With regard to one of the young girls, he repeatedly inserted his fingers into her vajayjay while she lay in the bed. To escape further molestation, the three emotionally upset girls left the home in the middle of the night in two vehicles and ended up meeting with the police, during which they disclosed Jones' behavior to the police. A nurse examined the girl, who claimed during penetration she found evidence of blunt force trauma to the girl's cervix. Jones was arrested the following morning. This was the first one before the daughter came. Didn't even know about this one. We did not even know about this happened in 2005. The thing with his daughter happened following that, but we did not know that this had happened. This was from the first trial when he got the 30 years. After the first trial, he had another set of charges where he got the 361 years, and that's when all of a big number of the people from the church started coming forward. Even the little Tasha, that was her name, 4-year-old Tasha, he was touching on her. Following the public disclosure of Jones' arrest, another young girl came forward and revealed that Jones had touched her in the genital area when she was 15 and had been staying overnight with his daughter in May of 2022. It's a cycle, a repeated cycle. The second young girl also came forward with similar Jones and him molesting her as a 15-year-old in Jones' home in January 2003. Jones was indicted on 14 counts, including sexual battery, aggravated sexual battery, child molestation, acquitting him of 4 counts relating to January 2003 allegations. The jury found him guilty of all the other counts, merging 2 of the counts. The court sentenced him to 28 years, served 23. He moved for new trial, claiming ineffective assistance of counsel. In order to deny that motion, the court found that Jones did not carry the burden of showing ineffective assistance. He appealed. I'm just looking at this one because he had more than one case. That's sad that this has been going on all that while. And he had been to court and had been tried and was still up in the church doing the same thing. He was still in the church doing the same thing. But everything came out in the open when his daughter called the police. The word got around quickly, and that was the end of him. Gonna touch on how to spot the sign of a child that's being SA'd. Children often don't talk about SA abuse because they think it's their fault, or they think they're embarrassed. They think it's their fault. They think they're embarrassed. It's just a lot of reasons. Children can also be bribed or threatened by their abuser or told that nobody will believe them. A child who's being SA'd may care for their abuser. It can be a family member. It can be a friend. It can be somebody that they trust. and they may worry about getting them in trouble. Here are some of the signs you may notice. And I'm big on women, even men, if you're in this live, pay attention to the signs. Save a child. Please pay attention to the signs. It can be your neighbor. It can be a student if you teach school. It can be a church member. Just pay attention to the signs. If you see a child that was once vibrant, that was once talkative, and now they're closed off, they're sheltered, they're showing disturbing, just a big change in their emotional well-being, try to ponder. But so here are some of the signs that you may notice. Changes in behavior. A child may start to be aggressive, withdrawn, clingy, having difficulty sleeping, having regular nightmares, or start wetting the bed. That's been common. Ladies, gentlemen, pay attention to your son. Pay attention to your daughters. Pay attention to your nieces, your cousins. Avoiding the abuser. The child may dislike or seem afraid of a particular person and try to avoid spending time alone with them. SEXUALLY, inappropriate behavior. Children who have been abused may sometimes behave in SEXUALLY, inappropriate ways, abusing that type of explicit language. They may start using explicit language that references sex. Physical problems. The child may develop health problems, including soreness in the genital areas or anal areas. They may have STIs, or they may become pregnant at a young age. They may have problems at school. An ABUSD child may have difficulty concentrating and learning, so you may notice a change in their grades, and the grades may start to decline. They may become clingy to their parents, not wanting the parents to leave their side. They may give clues. They may drop hints or clues that ABUSC is happening without revealing it outright. It's many signs. Like I say, it can be your daughter, it could be your child. And a lot of us like to say, oh, they're just going through puberty, or they just making all kind of excuses, except thinking that, well, they may be SA, they may be an SA. So we've got to do better in recognizing the signs and protecting our children. We got to do better, because this is a problem. And like I said, just because a young lady whose abuser is on trial and he may have killed her, unalived her, that's a national story, but you'll be surprised at how many stories right around you. It could be your family. But it's happening more prevalent now than ever before. And who commits these type of abuses? They can be another child, it can be an adolescent, or it can be an adult. But the majority of the ABUSERS are male, but sometimes it's female too. See, my area is very, very bad with it. Y'all remember the video? Of the cheerleading coach that had the viral video? That had the viral video back to school with her students in the hallway. I think it was the first day of school. If I can find this video, I'm going to play it for you all. They call her the viral. Let's see. Let me play this for you guys real quick. Let's remove this. Like that. Let me see, can I find that video? But it was viral. She had the Monroe tornadoes. And I would have had it pulled up, but I didn't know I was going to pull this one up. But I just thought about it when I said it can be, where is it? Okay, where is it? Where is it? Is that it? That's it. And let's visit this. And here we go. Here we go. Share screen, share screen. And there you go. Share. And I hope y'all can see this, but here it goes. I'm hoping I don't get copyright stricken because of this.
A U.S. history and an economics teacher have teamed up in a creative way this school year. Our Tiffany Gray spoke with both teachers who say they just want to make new fun out of the new normal.
These two videos were shot right here in Albany, Georgia at a local high school and have gone viral. Combined, they have over 2 million views.
Yeah, my role was the best, no comparing. We had to top our truth, no daring. Just to get them excited about virtual learning, because some may feel, kind of nervous or upset about not being in the building. So we just wanted to show them you can still have a good time and be ready to learn virtually.
Educators across the country are having to adapt to the new normals of 2020 and the adjustments of virtual learning. Monroe Comprehensive High School teachers and cheerleading coaches, Adriana Williams and Callie Evans, are taking a more creative approach
Adriana Williams
while getting the attention of students.
Students so excited to log in virtually with me and Miss Evans, just to see like, oh my God, you in that video? And them just so excited to learn and actually engaging in class.
The amount of attention both videos have received has been outstanding, and the excitement from the students is the most exciting part for both of these teachers. Williams and Evans hope their video can encourage other teachers and students to create their own videos and find their own ways to make these tough times a little easier.
It's about the students and getting them excited for school and getting them excited about their teachers and where they are and exuding school pride where they are. So if the teachers hopped on, they can do their own What's Poppin' challenge and just get the whole city excited.
These now local celebrities say they have more in store coming very soon.
It's gonna be
Okay, so that's the young lady that I'm talking about that had the viral video back to school during COVID. And here years later, that same viral rapping teacher, look at what she did. Stop presenting and to present. Let's see, share screen, share screen. There she goes.
If you're a YouTuber and you want to save hours managing your library,
I'm sorry.
check out how you can edit your in a minute. All of your videos with just the click of a button. Go now.
New at 6, a grand jury has indicted Adriana Cobb Williams, the former Dougherty County teacher, arrested on 2 counts of sexual assault of a student in December of last year.
WAOB News 10's Mackenzie Petrie has been following this case since the teacher's arrest and has the latest. Mackenzie?
Yeah, that's right, Jamie. According to the indictment, Adriana Cobb Williams is facing 2 counts of sexual contact by employee or agent in the first degree. The indictment says, quote, Adriana Cobb Williams, an employee of Monroe High School, did knowingly kiss a student in violation of Georgia code, end quote. It continued to say she also, quote, did knowingly perform a sexual act with the student whom said accused knew was enrolled as a student, contrary to the laws of the state, end quote.
We must protect the integrity both of our educators and our children. The way that a community protects its senior citizens, its disabled persons, and its children, is reflective of the character of the community.
Some may remember Cobb Williams from her viral back-to-school rap video she made back in 2020 with another teacher at Monroe Comprehensive High School. DA Edwards says the next step is for the case to go to trial, and if Cobb Williams is found guilty, she could face up to 10 years in prison for each count. Reporting live in studio, back to you.
So it be happening right around. It happens right around you. People that you would never think would be doing this. And this was a young guy, football player at the school, 16 years old. She was married to a grown man, but yet you buying gifts and grooming a 16-year-old to be your young lover. And I know her husband had to be embarrassed and had to be the butt of jokes. A good job working on the Marine base here. And they said he was very embarrassed. He didn't go to work for like 2 weeks after that. And can you blame him? Can you imagine the jokes he got? Man, you can't satisfy your wife. She got to go get a child, because men are cruel like that and take everything as a joke. So, like I say, pay attention to the signs. The young man's girlfriend, his real girlfriend, went through his phone and saw naked pictures of this teacher. And she stayed behind one day. She was a cheerleader. She stayed behind one day, and he stayed behind. The cheerleading coach stayed behind, and he said that the teacher was going to give him a ride home. The girlfriend stayed behind and had her camera out and recorded them kissing. So that's where the kissing come from. And then she uploaded it on Facebook, and that's when all hell broke loose, and it came out that she was doing that. So when it came out on Facebook, the little boy said he was a big man. They were like, man, a young boy that messing with no older woman, he gonna get dapped up, and man, you the man. So he started releasing all the other stuff to social media, and that's how she ended up getting caught. Come from a good background. Her mom's a realtor. Her dad owns an insurance company. And I know they had to be embarrassed too, but yeah, that's the backstory of that. And with her, and she went to court a couple of months ago. I'm not sure what happened to her. I think it was probation. I'm looking at her sentence real quick, but she got off light for what happened. I think she did, and I might be wrong, but I think she ended up with, okay, she hadn't gone to court yet, so I'm sorry, I apologize for that. I could have sworn I heard somebody say that she had gotten probation, but I guess not. But anyway, like I say, it can be somebody you would least expect it to be. When I was on that sexual registry, I saw a lot of people that it shocked the shit out of me that I was seeing some prominent people and people that could have any grown woman they want. Some men that could have any grown woman they want. And you registered as a child predator. I don't know what kind of men we got this day and age, but I don't know. I don't understand it. Well, guys, I wanted to go live so I can have interactions, but I'm going to be in the chat when I release this. I will be in the chat interacting with you guys. But I will be going live this weekend. I'll just get up and go. I'm not going to wait. I won't have to work, so I can fit in where get in where I fit in. Because now trying to go live and everybody's off work trying to go live at the same time, that ain't it. Because I'm not going to have anybody in mind because they're going to the ones they used to going to. So I just got to build me an audience so that I won't have to sit back and wait, and I'll have my audience and can go live when I get ready. But as of right now, there's so many of us. That's why I'm trying to get me people outside of this sector so that I can get my own following. And when I go live, they'll follow me instead of all of us sharing the same people. But anyway, thank you all that have watched it. If you watched a piece of it, I thank you. Just make sure you hit the like button. If you watched all of it, I wholeheartedly thank you as well. And I thank you all for sticking with me, rocking with me. And thanks for watching my live or my premiere. And I will be doing a live this weekend. It's going to be a little bit more lighthearted, but I have a lot of these. It's a lot of stories that people need to hear about. I want to have an open panel on this. One day I would like to hear your stories. And like I was saying, this happened to me. I just wasn't penetrated, but I was essayed as a child. And the reason I didn't tell it, and I'm going to tell you what, I'm going to do this real quick, then I'm going to go. I meant to throw this in way back in the live, but I was always an introvert. And the way they pick their victims, they'll see children playing and they look for the one that's reserved and laid back and quiet. The one that's like the loudmouth ones, they're not going to mess with them because they tell everything. They're going to look for that quiet one in the corner. They're going to look for the one that's timid. Those are the ones they're going to prey on. And those are the ones they're going to strike. I was quiet. I'm still an introvert. I've always been an introvert. I'm quiet until I get to know you. Once I get to know you, you may tend to tell me to shut the fuck up because I talk too much. But until I get to know you, I'm real quiet and reserved. And that's how I've always been. And I think that's how my cousin that it happened to. She's the same way. She's quiet and reserved. The big mouth cousins, nothing ever happened to them. Because they got them big ass mouths and they're going to scream to the top of the world what happened to them. But that's how they look for victims. They look for the ones that are quiet and timid and meek. And they know they search. They search around at their prey. Girl, ladies, if you have boyfriends, you better watch the way he looks at your daughters. If they're looking at your daughters and your sons even in an unnatural way, get rid of them. If they always want to be alone with your son or your daughter, get rid of them because something's not right. If they want to spend more time with your children than they do you, get rid of them. Get rid of them because something's not right. I know when I start talking fast, I make a lot of mishaps with my words. But look over them. You know what I mean. But thank you guys again for watching, and hit the like button on your way out. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And like I say, I will be doing more lives. If I can't see where I can fit in with the live, I will be doing premieres. Y'all have a good evening.